Are you 100% sure that Melly got into the red Mitsubishi to go home?
Yes.
Are you 100% sure that this young man learned of the shooting of his friends at the exact same time you learned of it?
Yes.
YNW Melly trial is coming to an end. This trial has lasted over 6 weeks, and Melly's fate is officially in the jury's hands. Monday, they brought up Melly's friend who vouched for him, saying that he was with them when they got the news that Sanchez and Juvie were killed, and Melly actually cried when he heard the news. Now, Adrian Davis, Melly's friend, was the defense's only witness who took the stand on his behalf. In this video, we're going to break down the key components of his testimony, along with the 7 many wins the prosecution scored throughout the trial that will potentially get Melly sentenced to death if convicted. Now the defense brought in Adrian Davis, and he spoke about the series of unfortunate events that took place that night and spoke about Melly's exact whereabouts.
You were woken up before you got to the house.
Yes.
What happened?
Pulled over, and that's when Melly got in the car with us.
Do you know where you pulled over?
And I don't really remember.
Were you woken up?
Yeah, but
Why?
it was like, because I was getting pushed over a little bit.
Are you 100% sure that this young man got into the red Mitsubishi?
Yes.
What happened to the Jeep?
I think they just kept going.
So then Adrian described the atmosphere of shock when they got the call that Sanchez and Juvie were killed and how Melly was with them, which places Melly outside the gray Jeep, debunking him as a shooter, killing 2 of his best friends, the prosecution's whole argument.
You know who has the keys to Melly's house on October 26th in the early morning hours?
Jamel and Borton, they the only one who had keys to the house.
Did you have a key to the house?
No.
Did Williams have a key to the house?
No.
Okay, so the only 2 people you know who had a key to the house was this young man
Yes.
and Cortland Henry.
Yes.
Did you see this young man unlock the door of the house?
Yes.
Who was the last person to get out of the red Mitsubishi to go inside the house?
Trayvon.
Throughout this entire trial, there's been this whole debacle over whose phone was in the car, but Melly's friend right here just said he couldn't find his phone on the night of the shooting, which is sort of ironic because they found a phone in the car that the prosecutors believe belonged to Melly.
Did there come a time in the early morning hours that you were woken up and heard some distressing news?
Yes.
What did you hear?
That second Juvie was shot.
When you heard that, did you see Melly in the house?
Yes.
Did you see Melly how he was dressed in the house?
Yes.
What was he wearing?
Shorts and a t-shirt.
Upon hearing that Sack and Juvie, and I really should use the correct names, Anthony Williams and Christopher Thomas, were shot. What did you guys do?
We were already dressed and stuff, so we just left with Fredo's house.
Was anybody upset or crying?
Yeah, we all were crying.
But on the night of the shooting, with Melly's phone being missing, like he said he couldn't find it, the phone could have still possibly been in the car which he left when he switched vehicles.
Anyone get on their phone?
Yeah.
Did anyone have any problem locating their phone?
Yes.
Who was that?
Jamel.
Adrian gives Melly the ultimate lifeline. He talks about Melly hopping in their car when they left the studio, which helps to align with Melly's story about him not being in the car when it happened. And obviously, his demeanor was very calm, and not to say that he was lying, but he had a very good poker face in court.
Were you aware whether or not Melly had a contractual agreement to do a video shoot that day?
Yeah, it was something like that. I know he probably would have lost a lot of money if he didn't go to the music video. He was upset.
Was Melly crying at Frito Bank's house?
Yes.
But then the prosecutors cross-examined, trying to basically debunk everything he said, poke little holes, because on one side, when the defense asks stuff because it's their witness, he knows what happened. He knows, oh yeah, Melly was with us. He was crying. He has the key to the house. He's the one who brought us in the house. Borland was only with the 2 friends that died. Melly wasn't there. But then when it comes to prosecution, asking the same questions, he's forgetting certain statements. So it's like, obviously, with him being the defense's witness, he's going to be more inclined to obviously support their side because he's their witness. And like I said with prosecutors, when all the forensic evidence, they're going to make Melly look bad because it's the prosecutor's witness. So him basically making the defense or making the prosecution look bad, not relying with their points, forgetting stuff, is what you can expect from a witness who's supposed to be supporting the defense.
Are you 100% sure that Melly got into the red Mitsubishi to go home?
Yes.
Are you 100% sure that this young man learned of the shooting of his friends at the exact same time you learned of it?
Yes.
And that was at the house?
Yes.
Are you 100% sure that when people were getting on the phone, that this young man was looking for his phone to call people?
Yes.
Mr. Davis, you said you're 100% sure that Mr. Dennis found out at the same time you did.
Yes.
No questions about that.
No.
You're sure he was at that house?
Yes.
And you were upstairs?
Yes, ma'am.
He was downstairs.
Yes.
But you're sure he was there, you could see him.
Mm-hmm.
Is that a yes?
Yes.
I believe this witness is extremely credible. He is a witness for the defense that is, I believe, is going to give Melly the not guilty verdict, that if he is going to get it, this is the witness that's going to give it to him. He has really just been speaking to what happened that night and to the facts with specifics. And he's the only witness that has testified about what happened exactly on that night. He's the only witness who was there in order to be able to give those facts.
Now I'm going to present 7 main points the prosecution spoke on that may possibly get them the conviction of guilty. Now first, they brought in Sergeant Williams, who was the first witness who actually was confident in the information that he was saying. He pointed Melly as a shooter using ballistics and spoke about how the fatal shots and drive-by shots were minutes apart, and the drive-by shots had no blood in them, which means Zach Chase was already dead when it happened.
Mr. Williams was not even aware he was about to be shot. When Mr. Williams was shot, Mr. Thomas puts up his hands and is shot, and then is shot again. Okay. There's no time for anybody to switch a firearm. If there were, I believe one of those individuals would be alive. There's no time to switch. It was a very, a rather rapid event of firing.
Okay. Can you say the length of time between the fatal shots and then the staged drive-by shots later on?
It was enough time for the heart to stop beating, for there to be no circulation due to the wounds that I examined from the medical examiner's office. None of the wounds have any blood in them, which tells me that they're all ante-mortem wounds. So the time was long enough for the heart to stop beating.
Okay. Is there scientific or medical testing to recreate that in any way, shape, or form?
Yes, it's knowledge. It's I'm sure the medical examiner could say the same thing.
So in terms of, it's nothing that can be recreated with a live human?
Correct.
In terms of the number of shots, you said 17 outside the car. How many rounds were fired inside of the car?
3.
And can you exclude the shots to the head for Mr. Williams and Mr. Thomas as coming from outside of the car?
Yes.
The second win for the prosecution was when Sergeant Williams and the medical examiner, Dr. Sawyer, explained where the victims were shot. Now, Dr. Sawyer speaking on Juvie, Christopher Thomas, and they brought in 2 medical examiners, one per victim, gave a very extensive breakdown on the shootings.
So Christopher Thomas had an injury to his left cheek. Part of that injury, his face or his cheek, if you will, had the tattooing or the stippling on there. The projectile that entered into Christopher Thomas, that was actually about in the middle of his cheek, was it was a full circle. There was no leading edge. There was nothing to indicate that his head was turned to the right, turned to the left. It was straight forward, looking forward.
If you could explain what this is?
This is showing the brain and the extensive subarachnoid hemorrhage it has and the lacerations that you can see to the right side of the cerebellum. So I inserted a rod to show that the trajectory from the injury from the left cheek went all the way through and crossed into the right side of the cranial occipital bone.
The third piece of evidence the prosecution had was surveillance footage shown to the jury of them leaving the studio, showing Melly sitting in the left rear seat of the vehicle, and the prosecutors backed it up with DNA evidence that was found on the rear seat.
On a 3-person mixture, on item number 43, swab of rear driver's side door handle material.
Yes.
Were you able to analyze the profile of the defendant, Jamel Demons, in this case?
I did.
And what was your conclusion in a 3-person mixture as to the results of Mr. Demons being included or excluded?
He was included. The likelihood calculation, the DNA results are at least 2.12 times 10 to the 8th, or 212 million times more likely if they originated from Jamel Demons and 2 unrelated unknown individuals than if they originated from 3 unrelated unknown individuals.
And what verbal qualifier did you give to that particular item of
Very-
Mr. Demons being included?
There is very strong support for the inclusion.
Now, the fourth one was Trayvon Glass's testimony, who was actually brought in by the prosecution against his will because he had probation violations, and if he didn't come in, he would be sent to jail. So anyways, he came in and stated some very chilling information about Melly, and that when they met up at Fredo Banks' house after, Melly had changed his clothes.
Who was at Frito's house when you first got there?
Everybody that was in the house.
Okay, and it's because I don't know who everybody was or is, can you please specify?
Kobe, Melly. The only people I can remember.
Okay, was that the first time you saw Melly after you guys left the studio?
Yeah.
Was Melly wearing the same clothes or different clothes than when you saw him at the studio?
It was a new day. Nah, he wasn't.
Nah, he wasn't. You guys
He wasn't wearing the same clothes.
Okay, do you recall what he was wearing?
He just had on some shorts.
The fifth one was, a couple weeks ago, they brought in this undercover cop, Danny Paolo, who took the stand speaking on Melly's gang affiliations. Now, which in my opinion is complete BS because they're trying to say that Melly killed 2 of his friends in furtherance of the gang to show that he was loyal to the G-Sign Bloods. Now, to me, that sounds like criteria for a RICO. And if he wants to join a gang, why would he not do acts of violence on another gang? Why would he harm his own friends, show that he's loyal to people that he just met or he's trying to be accepted by? Like, logically speaking, it makes no sense. Like, I feel like it's a little bit prejudiced because they see a black person, tattoos, grills, smokes a lot of weed, the music. Like, they see a thug image and they're basically just trying to throw the thug jacket on him and basically label him a murderer.
There's multiple videos of Mr. Demons claiming G-Shine or GKB as a gang that he belongs to.
What about adopting the style or dress of a criminal gang?
Yes, Mr. Demons was observed multiple times, more times than I can count, wearing the colors red, colors green, and like I stated, the foot soldiers are told to wear tan or brown. And Mr. Demons, there's a bunch of pictures of him wearing this tan trench coat that falls in line with the time where he would have been a foot soldier.
And so we'll come back to some of those pictures in a moment. So, what about adopting the use of a hand signs that's identified as used by a criminal gang?
Yes, Mr. Demons knows all the gang signs, and he does them very well. He can do them very quickly, a lot faster than I can. The physical evidence would be the videos of Mr. Demons throwing up hand signs, the videos of Mr. Demons saying the G-Shine oath, their motto, all the social media posts, references he makes in songs about being a blood. That's all physical evidence.
The sixth win was phone evidence. They had this one phone that they've been trying to put on Melly for the entire trial, and they showed messages between him and his mother, as well as him and his girlfriend.
Message from Melly Montana to, again, that baby. What does that one say?
You don't with me anyways. I peeped it. You can slide, but God knows I wasn't in her. N-word will end real dumb. Breaking, you spoiled everything was given to you. You act like a N-word. Oh some slide. I keep Orton with cuz at the end of the day he did one of the realest in my life. I'm good, Foo. You got it. I'ma just stay to myself. I don't want to hurt you, Foo. Just leave me alone.
Phone number 6942, message sent 11/3/2018 at 2:43 p.m. No one blocked me because I'm not finished saying what I'm saying. Same phone number, same date at 2:43:20 p.m. I be trying to be there for you and you push me away like I'm the problem. Publishing page 58.
From 9807 on 11/3/2018 at 2:43 p.m. What everyone gotta say. From 9807, 11/3/2018, 2:43 p.m. Man, I'm not trying to hear that shit. I do shit for you too. You better off without me, so just slide, bro. I'ma love you from a distance. From 9807, 11/3/2018 at 2:44 p.m. You gave me the post shorter because I couldn't find the blazer.
Now lastly, the seventh and final piece of evidence that can support the prosecution's case is the cryptic message on Snapchat where Melly was speaking to another rapper, PZ Gambino, where he was talking about how was he, because I guess PZ Gambino heard about the shooting and messaged him asking how he was feeling, to which he replied, I did that.
On October 26th of 2018 at 20:02:18 UTC, what does the YNW Melly account state?
I did that with a smiley emoji.
In terms of what was that in response to from the PZ Gambino account?
Objection.
The PZ Gambino account asked him if he was okay, and his response was, I did that, and placed a smiley face emoji.
And the next message from 10/26/2018 at 16:02 from Eastern Standard Time, the YNW Melly account says what?
After that, SHHHH.
This is not a spoken gun, but it's something very hard to combat. We are at the finish line of this entire trial, and I'll be dropping a video shortly covering the closed arguments of both sides, which, in my opinion, they have a high possibility resulting in a mistrial because the jury are in a deadlock and they can't basically pick a side because so much information has been shown and they don't know what side to lean towards. Remember, us as the public, we can watch YouTube videos, the breakdowns from different creators, so we have a side and we have everyone's perspective. The jury, no phones, no TVs, they only pick up and can judge what they see in the court, so it's not biased. Anyways, man, thank you guys for watching the video. Jared the Star, I'm gone.